So in Oracle Fusion, we have multiple type of, the security profiles. Most important thing is person security profile. In the person security profile, this is the place where you would define like, which person this particular user can able to access. Okay? Or users with this role, which person they can able to access. So in person, you have two different person security profiles. One is, public person security profile. You have public person security profile, and then you have person security profile. What is public person security profile? If you go to directories, you can search for the people, there, right? That any publicly available information, if you wanted to search, then, based on this, you will be able to search. So let's say if you have, customers who have the presence in, two or three countries, right? And then they say, Harish, employees from their country should able to see, employees only from their country in the directories. Okay? If an employee is from India, then, if you go to directory, you should be able to see only the employees in, India. Then we update the security profile in the public person. Okay? And the person is like, based on the privileges, let's say, for example, promote. If they wanted to promote a person, which person they can able to promote, that is defined by the person security profile. Okay? And then you have something called as organization, position, led uh, LDGs, country, document types. These are like, multiple different kind of security profiles you have. And then you have some predefined HCM security profiles, basically like, view all data. So what we'll do is we'll just go to the data role and security profiles, and then we will search for the job role which we have created. So you have this recruiter role. Okay. So let's say, the data roles can be created in two ways. What do I mean by two ways? Let me just put an Excel. Job role, data. So let's say we have this job role, right? Recruiter. Okay. I can create a data role on top of this job role. Okay. So I can just create a data role on top of this job role. So what will happen is if I do in this way, I can just assign, the job roles. I can assign the job role to the users, and then they will have access to the requisitions and the data. But if I know there is one more option where I can, create a separate data roles based on, the job role, inheriting the job role. For example, I can put recruiter India, and then I can put recruiter UAE, and then let's say I can put recruiter Australia. I can, create three different data roles, inheriting, from the job roles. Then what happens is all these three data roles, right? They will have all the privileges which is there in as part of the recruiter roles. But the reason why we are creating three different data roles is because we have the recruiters from three different countries, and then we have to create, three different data securities. In such case, we can just create this kind of, we can create it in this way. So if I just go back to the data roles here, right, you will see I can click on the edit button, and then I can start, I can just start giving, all the security profiles. If not, I can just click on the create button, and then in the data role, I'll put what I'll do is I'll give a name for this data role, recruiter hyphen India. Okay? And then I have to search for the job role. I will just choose this particular job role. So now we are inheriting, the privileges from the job role. So basically, we are, this data role, right, UNO recruiter hyphen India. This role will have, what the recruiters can able to perform, right? That is defined by the job role, and for which data they can able to perform these actions, that is defined in the data role. Now, once I click on next, So next we have to define all this, you know, uh, the security profiles. Okay. So basically in the organization, right? This is where we define which organizations, the recruiters can able to do. For our, training purpose, what we will do is we are going to use view all in all the security profiles. So when it comes to positions, we just choose view all. When it comes to countries, we just choose view all. And then person, we'll just use view all. Public person and payroll. Also, we'll just choose view all. Now, next, we have this requisition security profile. In the requisition security profile, this is the place where we will define, which requisitions this particular recruiter can able to see. So what we'll do is, let me just open this new tab. We have a separate security task for each of the security profiles team. The navigation again would be the same. I'll go to workforce structures, and in workforce structures, if I just scroll down, you will see this security profile section. Okay. And when you will get access to the security profile section and the data role section is only when you have the IT security manager role. If you don't have the IT security manager role to the user, then you will not able to see any of this. So whatever we choose here, right, position, country, person, organization, everything can be created separately here. But for now, we are going to create only the requisition security profile. Once you go here, once you click on search, you will see different options, security profiles, which is that. I'll just click on the create button. So I'll give a name, UNO requisition security profile. Okay. Next, here you have options, how you can give access. You can give access using AOR or using the hiring team member type. We'll start with the hiring team member. That would be the easiest one. Okay. Secure by hiring team member. What is that? Who are the hiring team members we saw? Recruiter, hiring manager, and collaborators. So we can just choose search here. You see, like, collaborator, hiring manager, and the recruiter. If I choose the recruiter, then what happens is if this user is a recruiter for a requisition, then we will have access to that particular requisition. And if I just choose hiring manager here, then if this, the user with this data role, if this user is, either an hiring manager or a recruiter of the requisition, then they will able to see this, the recruiter, they can able to see this, the requisitions. So that is how we can able to restrict using, secure by hiring team members. The next option which we have is secure by area of responsibility. Area of responsibility is nothing but, we call it as AOR. So if you wanted to define restrict based on the AOR, then you can select this checkbox. And then here you have to choose the AOR. First, you have to choose the responsibility type. Okay. So as a standard, we have a seeded responsibility type, which is recruitment representative. Actually, the seeded value is, recruiter. You will see the responsibility name as recruiter, but since someone has, played around it, it is showing as recruitment representative. Once I choose the recruitment representative, then you have to choose, how you wanted to secure the scope. You have, secure by recruiting type, organization, location, job family. Let's assume if I just choose secure by recruiting type. And then if you wanted to give you all access to this recruiter, you can select this checkbox so that, none of this, responsibilities is needed. They will have access to all the requisitions. And the third checkbox which you have is access to your subordinates requisition. Okay. So let's say if I am the hiring manager, okay, and then I'm, or let's say I'm the recruiter. And then let's assume, person A is reporting to me. If I need to have access to the person A requisitions, I will just select this checkbox. Even if the person A requisition does not fall under any of this responsibilities, right? Any of this scope, then I will still have access to it because of this particular checkbox. Once it is done, I'll just click on Save and Close. Once we create the requisition security profile, we have to add the requisition security profile here. This is the one which we have created. So once I choose this, I can just click on the next. It will, take us to each and, every security profile review. We can just directly click on the review button. And then we can just click on submit. So this is how, we can able to assign, the data securities to, a role. We can add to the existing job role, or we can create it as a separate role. Now, here, if I just click on the search button again, now you see I have two roles here. The second one is the data role which we have created. And then if I just expand this role code, you see the role code at the last, underscore data is automatically added. We give only the data role name. We did not give the data role code because the code is automatically generated. Whatever the name you have entered, I know at the end, a suffix would be added, which is underscore data. So whenever you see this underscore data, it means that, this is a data role. And then you can also see which role is being inherited in this data role. You can see this is the job role. So now what we have to do is we have to assign this job role to our user. So for that, we'll just again go back to security console. What you have to do is we have to search for this mic this. And from mic this, what we'll do is we will just remove the job role because we don't need the job role. We will click on add role and then we will have to search for the data role. And then I'll just click on add role membership. Click on done, click on save and close. Once it is done, once I'll just click on done button. And now we'll just try to see if the recruiter can able to access the hiring. Let's see. There is some issue with this user. Okay. So now that for Mike Brace, what we have done is we have assigned in the data role. Okay. And then in the data role, there is an AWOR we have used in the requisition security profile. Right? So now we need to assign this AWOR to this particular user. Right? So how do we assign the AWOR? I'll go to home, I'll go to person management, and then we'll search for this particular employee, Mike Brace. And then I'll just click on this task, and then in the task you will see an task here called as area of responsibility. So I'll just click on area of responsibility. This is where we will assign this AWOR. Okay. So in the role, in the data role, right, we have mentioned, users with the recruiting, recruitment representative AWOR, they can able to access the requisition, but we have to assign this AWOR to this user. So how do we do? Once we go to the area of responsibility, we'll just click on the plus button. And then in the responsibility type, we have to choose the recruitment representative. So what is the AWOR scope we have used? We have used the recruiting type. So I can just choose the recruiting type here. So if I choose professional, then what happens is this recruiter will have access to all the requisitions which is created with the recruiting type professional. Now, the next question comes up here is, Harish, what if we wanted to give this user access to all the requisitions which is created using the recruiting type professional and hourly? Then we have to create two different tables. I'll just give a start date for this table. I'll click on submit. So now we have created one A word for this person. And now we have to create the second A word. And then here we have to choose the recruiting type as hourly and the responsibility type as recruitment representative. And now I'll just click on submit. So it normally takes, a couple of seconds for the AWOS to get updated. If there is any approvals defined for adding an AWO to a user, right, then those approvals has to be completed before we can just update the AWOS. So now these are the two AWOS which has been assigned to this user. So now what happens is this particular user can able to see all the requisitions which is created with the recruiting type professional and hourly. So I think there's some issue with this, user, or that's why we cannot able to see this. But you can just do your practice, and if you guys have any doubts or questions on the rules, we can have a separate discussion. But to start with, just take, don't go too advanced in the rules, right? You can just take a copy of the seeded rule and then try to give them, the date as, the securities, assign them, recruiting type, the basic kind of, securities. Maybe you can just start with, giving your. Okay, just take a copy of the seeder rule, create your own rule, and then in the securities, just give like view all in all the security profiles, and then see how it looks like, and then gradually keep changing one by one. Okay, and that way you will have more control on it. And then most important thing, right? That there are a few important things which you guys need to be aware when it comes to the rules. Okay, so the first thing is if you're testing a role. Okay, let's say, for example, you are testing a recruiter role. Okay, make sure the user, the test case user which you are using, right, has only, the basic rules like, the employer rules, and then, your custom job rules which you have created or the data rules. Okay? For example, if you're testing a recruiter, custom recruiter data role, okay, and then if the user has already a seeded recruiter role, right, or some other recruiter rules, then you will not able to see your accurate configurations. Okay? Because there are two recruiter rules which will work as an AND operations, and it will perform they can able to perform all the actions. Let's say, for example, if you have restricted initiate requisitions, right, some kind of restrictions, if the user has already another recruiter rule, then you will not able to see your changes at all. So whenever you are testing any role, make sure the user has only that particular role and then any supporting rules. For example, if you are testing an employer role, then the user needs to have only your employer role. So that is one important thing which you guys needs to be aware about. And the most important thing is when it comes to the roles, whether it's an job role or any custom job roles or abstract roles or data roles, right? Once the role is created, it is created. We cannot able to delete the roles. Okay? Remember, guys, this is a very, very important thumb rule. Once a role is created, it is created and we cannot able to delete it. Okay? That's why what we do is whenever we get any requirement for creating new rules, new roles, then what we do is we create a rule in the lower instance, either on the test or the dev instance, do an extensive testing, and then get confirmation with the customer about the role name and the role code, and then migrate the changes to production, because the role names can be changed, but the role codes cannot be changed. Once a code is created, it is created. So these are very crucial things which you guys needs to be aware before you start working on the roles. So I completely understand, this rules data securities would be like, very confusing at the beginning, but it would need an extensive amount of, practice and, testing for you guys to, make yourself very clear on the rules and securities. With that note, any other doubts or questions?
There is only one question I have. How can how can we do some type of restriction? Suppose I am a recruiter. Franklin is also a recruiter. I don't want to see my requisition to Franklin, and I am not able to see Franklin requisition. But you are a manager. You are able to see both with all the requisition. It
Correct.
should be the India level, or it should be the offshore level, on-site level also. Suppose Indian recruiter can't see the UK recruiter requisition, or UK recruiter can't see the Indian requisition. What's this type of
Uh,
restriction we are able to do somewhere anywhere?
See, first, in order to do such things, right, you have to first understand, you have to understand, how are you going to define, the requisitions locations using locations. If that is the case, if I just go to worker structures, if I just go to requisition security perform, if I just create, so you can able to restrict based on locations. If you
Okay.
choose location, then you have to give the top hierarchies. Let's say for example under India, if you have different things, then you have to give it accordingly.